out there tonight on another Thursday night. We're with you a little bit earlier, but that's okay because we got the big old presidential debate tonight. So we definitely want to have all you make sure you're tuning in for that as well. But how's it going, Rob? How's your week, man? What's going on,
It's
brother?
uh it's going good. We're heading to Oklahoma tomorrow first thing
Yes.
5:30 in the morning. It's gonna
Sweet.
it's gonna be an early one, so we'll it's gonna be like a 16-hour.
About 2.5 days, and that was 2,300 miles. That was pretty outrageous too. But I heard you went and you got some pizza in this weekend, brother. How
Yeah,
was that
dude.
for you?
I went to Louis. It's in Oak Park,
Okay, yep.
Michigan, and it was some of the best Detroit style I've had in a while. I mean,
Dude.
it beats Buddies by a mile, a long shot.
Describe Detroit deep dish for those who aren't familiar.
So Detroit deep dish, it's light.
Oh
It's
yeah, it's
got
flaky.
the crispy crush. It's
Yep.
crust. It's deep dish,
Yes,
and
sir.
they put sauce on the top.
Nice. Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, but a little bit on the cheesy side. I take a
Really.
couple of drinks as I was trying to eat it, but
Gotta wash it
it
down.
beats the heck out of buddies
Yep.
and
Buddies
jets.
is
And
kind of chain, and Jets is chain too. And I used to like it when I was younger, of course, but now I mean, there's levels to these things, right? There's levels to these things, and it sounds like you unlocked a new one with Lose.
yeah, Louis, I'm gonna try Palazzo di Pizza. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to check out all the spots that Portnoy rated highly. I'm not just gonna try to check out any because he rated this place is called Backdoor Pizza. It's in
Huh.
Ann Arbor,
Oh
and just
wow.
he rated he rated it like a 2.6. So I'm
Yeah.
checking out all the hot spots, and by far, still my favorite is Freddie the Pizza Man. Which, by the way, so Dave Portnoy is doing a one bite pizza fest in New York.
Okay. In
Um,
NYC.
yeah, NYC. All 35 of the best pizza places are going to be there. The entry fees 109. At first, I'm like 194 $194 to get in, but I'm like, oh, like you get free slices for like 3 to 4 hours. So
Okay.
that's why it costs so much. So I want to go down there. I want to go down there, but it's just not going to happen this year. But it sounds really good. I mean,
That sounds worthwhile.
we're talking about the best from like Philadelphia, NYC. Uh, the only one who's representing Michigan is Freddie the Pizza Man, which, by the way, superb pizza. Everything is fresh. Thin crust, New York style. So
Absolutely. That
yeah,
sounds top notch, man. Yeah. I'm glad. I know Ann Arbor. It's been discussed on various blogs and things before. Ann Arbor is just not known for its pizza, even though we got Detroit style right up the street. Like in all these places, Ann Arbor, and honestly, even Columbus, I've heard it discussed on 11 Warriors too. Is not a good pizza town, and a place that just been there for 45 years. Tommy's Pizza just shut down,
yeah.
and
I
so
mean,
they left.
are you gonna get
They
the
left.
best out of college pizza though? I mean, we're talking about college pizza.
Right, that's definitely the lower tier for sure. So I mean, yeah, neither town is really known for their pizza. Like I mean,
I
it's
mean,
just
like
interesting.
back in the day when I used to go to Ann Arbor, party little Hardy, there was this place they would hand out free slices at 2 and 3 in the morning. I'm thinking like they probably did it because no everybody was drunk and nobody really could tell how
What?
terrible the pizza was.
How trash it was, no doubt,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Yeah, it's all about that sobering up at that time, for sure.
yeah.
Well,
But
that's wild, man.
yeah,
We got some good topics today for you guys that we're going to discuss, and feel free to chime in too. Of course, we got Day and his staff in recruiting improvement as well. We've got who is the new standard in college football now that we think Alabama is going to be demising. Who is going to fill that void? And Clemson is falling off. The rate, it's fresh for a team to step in and take right over. And who is that going to be? We'll get into that. Time to stop talking about Connor Stallions. We've just addressed this before, but we're pretty sick of that topic, man. We need to beat them on the field where it's properly done. And then, is Ohio open grounds for recruiting? We know, there's a lot to say on that topic. We'll get to that last before we wrap up tonight. But first of all, let's dive into the first topic: days staff improvement and recruiting improvement. What do you think of that? And what have you noticed? And what have you seen in that front from Ohio State perspective?
This recruiting cycle, I'm seeing a lot of defensive linemen. I'm seeing more linebackers, a little bit of offensive line. What I'm really seeing a change in direction is the secondary. Currently, they have
Yeah.
3 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Two are committed, another who's expected to commit, and they also got the commitment of a highly ranked 4 star safety. Now, mind you, that
Yeah.
has not happened since, Jeff Okuda, Sean
Sure.
Wade,
Yeah.
Ward, and Hooker wasn't rated that high, but Marshawn Lattimore, Gary and Connolly, we haven't had those caliber of defensive backs come since Jeff Okuda was drafted first round.
Yeah.
Pretty much top three. Have you seen? I'm sorry, but 2022 was a prime example of some of them.
Oh yeah.
J.K. Johnson was a disaster. Cam Johnson,
Yeah. That was
Cam
hard.
Martinez. Still remember how he got turned around. Tim Walton has really turned around the secondary, not only in production, but in terms of recruiting. He's put in a lot of work.
It's,
And
yeah.
yeah, linebackers. I think we have a top 100 player nationally at linebacker.
Yeah.
So before James Laurinaitis was not allowed to be on the road because only so much staff, and I think it was because of Parker Fleming was filling that spot. But now that Parker Fleming is no more, and for a very good reason, um, special teams was a complete disaster, and he had no business being out on the road. Period. Uh, I have a feeling that line the linebackers in terms of recruiting, it's going to pick up in terms of development. I remember when there's this recruit. I think it was the guy who was like a sign commit to Ohio State, and then all
Uh
of a
huh.
sudden he decides to commit to no. I think it was KVA. Those were his
Oh.
initials.
Uh. Kavion, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kavion Pope, I think.
yeah,
Kayvon Pope.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he said, man, I took a look at Larry Nice's resume and it was something out of a movie.
Yeah.
Ohio State, and then he went on to have a good career with the Rams. And didn't he try to get into wrestling, WWE wrestling for a while?
He did for a little bit afterwards. I know his dad was a WWE wrestler previously, and so that's why he was a little animal.
Yeah.
Um, that's a fun little story.
So I have a feeling that that's going to pick up as well. Jim Knowles is also putting in work on the defense side of the ball. The proof is in the pudding now that his defensive scheme is working in terms of the Big Ten. Now,
Yeah.
will they be able to? The thing I'm looking for is, will they be able to stop the run consistently and be able to stop those crossing routes with their linebackers? I think so, because again, I think Laurinaitis is going to be able to recruit some top notch linebackers. And I also think he's going to be a very good coach. And then we have Larry Johnson.
Uh,
For those of you who think Larry Johnson forgot how to coach, you are wrong. It is Jim Knowles' scheme. Larry Johnson is still able to develop defensive linemen,
yeah.
but I don't think that in terms of the edge position, I don't think they play a big role in the defense. They're getting a
In,
lot of pressure, but they're not producing sacks. Do I think that Jim Knowles wants those edges to stay home and set the
yeah.
corner? I don't know. That's remaining to be seen. But there's got to be a reason for the lack of production in terms of sacks, and I don't think Larry Johnson has anything to do with that. Now he was able to
Yeah.
get Edric Houston. We have we have a top. We just got a commitment from a top 50 defensive lineman. So we
Yeah.
currently
Top
have
50 in the
about
nation.
top 50 in the nation. So we currently have three defensive linemen. Like that's a lot more than we previously had in the past since we got JTT, Mike
Mhm.
Hall, Jack Sawyer. So again,
Some-
like as Day continues to put the right pieces in line in terms of staff development and big time recruitment is going to pick up. Of course, Brian Hartline is doing work.
Oh yeah.
Our new running backs coach Lachlan. He was able to get highly coveted recruit Bo Jackson. And no, I'm not saying he's highly coveted because he's going to Ohio. He's going to Ohio State because Michigan fans seem to claim that if we miss on a recruit, oh, we didn't want him in the first place. He wasn't that good. And then, like, when he commits, it's just like, God's gift to football. No, that's not the case. Bo Jackson was
Right.
being sought out after by Georgia.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. We won another recruit over Georgia.
Sure.
Of course, wait, did I already bring up Brian Hartline? Because he's
Yep.
always doing work. In terms of, I also like the fact that, it seems like they're kind of de-emphasizing from the wide receiver position this recruiting cycle.
They do.
So I'm noticing more defensive linemen, more linebackers, more secondary. Now, there's one thing that I'm still waiting for to pick up. Yes, Justin Fry got Carter Lowe, which, he's also top 50 in the nation. And, he's a
Mhm.
top recruit from a top alignment from Ohio.
Right.
But I'm still waiting on David Sanders Jr. What the last
Yeah.
time that
Seriously.
Ohio State got a top, like an elite lineman was Paris Johnson Jr.
I was just
That
gonna say that.
that was the last time. Other than that, it has been horrendous.
Well,
And I think the blame should fall on Justin Fry, and I think it has because if you look at those who have got contract extensions and pay raises, Justin Fry did not get his contract extended, nor did he get a pay raise.
exactly.
So I think this is do or die time for Justin Fry. So again, like if you look over the years in terms of recruiting,
Yeah.
he is Justin Fry is the weakest link. He is costing us dearly in the
Yeah.
trenches on the offensive side of the ball. I don't care how many talented running backs that they have. They're still recruiting good running backs, but
Yeah.
if you don't have an offensive line that can open up the run game, then you don't have anything. Like that. That's that. So
Yeah.
in
If you
terms of
can't
the
let your
weakest,
horses eat, what's
yeah,
gonna?
in
If
terms
you
of
can't
the
block for them, what's gonna happen?
yeah, in
What we've
terms
seen
of
the
the
last 3 years.
yeah. So in terms of the weakest link, I'm gonna have to call Justin Fry. He's just
Yeah,
not
definitely,
he's
definitely.
not getting
I
it done.
remember Tegra Chabolo was a top two offensive tackle, but he's completely underperformed in his time at Ohio State. He was one of the top offensive tackles too, but he hadn't seen the field yet. He's still at Ohio State, but he's in his fourth year now, and he can't break the depth chart. He can't break the top two. It sucks to see. Um, but yeah, in terms of weak link for recruiting, I mean, I definitely agree. Like there's no question it's Justin Fry. I mean, Coach Stud wasn't much better though, to be honest. Like there's a reason he was let go too. He was a good developer, but a terrible recruiter. And so it's like the problem persists and continues. And so it's a little frustrating um, in that area because we've always been an offensive line driven program. That's just who Ohio State is. Um, and we've always had good wideouts. We have good wide receivers. And then just recently under Day, we've had the good quarterbacks, obviously with a few sprinkled in our history as well. But
I mean, I'm
um,
excited for Tavion St. Clair. Like
oh my gosh, am I
I'm
ever?
really excited for him.
Yeah, it's gonna be fabulous to watch. Who wins these battles between Sayan, Nolan, and St. Clair? I mean, like I think, St. Clair is an Ohio kid. For those who don't know, he's just up the, about 2 hours away from Columbus, Northwest, and he plays at a small school. but he just won the Rivals Challenge, quarterback challenge. I read, and he finished a controversial second at the Elite 11 finals after winning the first 2 days and performing apparently pretty well the last day. But I don't remember who ended up winning the Elite 11. I think it might have been was it Underwood or somebody else? But
It
I
was
know
the guy
somebody
from
nicked him on the last day.
it was the QB from Alabama. I forgot his name, but
Okay.
he's the one who beat him out for that. He got the Elite 11 MVP.
Yep.
Man,
Elite.
I forgot his name
That
though.
really sucks that we couldn't claim that because we've had a lot in the past. CJ Stroud was Elite 11 MVP. Justin Fields notoriously beat Trevor Lawrence out for the Elite 11 MVP, and obviously had a tremendous career at Ohio State. And so, yeah, obviously, I mean, it's a fun thing to win, but let's see what they do on the field. I can't wait for them. I mean, St. Clair's going to be fabulous for us. He's most likely going to sit for 2 years on the bench behind either Sayin and Noland, whoever wins out in that battle. And then, being an Ohio guy who has always dreamed of being a Buckeye, he will stay in Columbus no matter what. So
Yeah,
despite the transfer portal the way it is now, that's good to recruit those
yeah.
Buckeyes. Um,
Now, I will say one thing that concerns me
yeah,
a little bit after seeing that Trey McNutt, highly coveted safety from Ohio,
sure.
uh, 5-star safety. What is he ranked? Top 10 and nationally
Yeah, he's
overall.
a top 10 overall player, no,
So
regardless of position.
he's from Ohio, but
Right.
yet he is crystal ball to Oregon. Now
Oh,
I
actually
don't
Crystal
know.
Baldwin.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because he wants to play right away and not sit behind downs for a year. I don't know if he. I mean, I'm not gonna assume he doesn't want to come in to compete. I think maybe he
Sure.
wants playing time like right away, and maybe they promised him playing time his freshman year. Maybe they promised him a bigger bag because we all know that
Potentially.
Oregon has that NIL money. So
They do that Phil Knight Nike money, baby. They got it. They got it all right. We'll see if they can actually produce on the field. Never won a national championship. Over in that period, but we'll see if it pays off for them. Trey McNutt, that's an interesting story to follow because most of the top end talent stays home in Ohio. It just is that way. But as we've seen, and as you mentioned, Caleb Downs coming in kind of undercuts him a little bit. Now Downs is a player you never turn away for anything. But it stinks in one hand because it's like, man, this guy wanted to grow up, grew up a Buckeye, wanted to be a Buckeye for sure. Now we got 5.5 months until signing day, so we'll see how the story turns for the Buckeyes in that regard. But it's interesting because they they don't let top end talent slip out of the state very often, even under Day. Um, Now Meyer, he let some under the radar guys go, and some legacy guys go, but he definitely skimmed off the top and then went national.
West and Aaron Scott went down to the wire with Michigan. I mean that to me that means that the state of Ohio is no longer this lockdown state where Ohio State gets the best of everybody. And
Okay,
now it's even more. I mean, then they lost Jordan Marshall, and then
sure,
now Trey McNutt. I mean, it's just
that's a potential, yeah,
almost lost Bo Jackson to Georgia.
right.
So I don't think that I know they say the best in Ohio stay and play for Ohio State.
Uh,
So I think that could kind of be fading off just
so
a
you're starting
little
to see
bit.
some cracks, is what you're saying, basically, in the
Pretty
borders
much.
around Ohio.
I mean, did you hear actually no, you know what? During the Meyer era, wasn't it Jackson Carmen?
Yeah, that's true. We did lose an important battle for Jackson Carmen, the former Clemson offensive lineman, and that was disturbing because he panned out at the college level anyway.
Oh yeah, he did. But then and then he just I think he got exposed that last game against
I remember.
Chase Young, just big time.
God, do I remember that? That was so
It
fun. The
dropped his
revenge game.
yeah, it dropped his draft stock.
It
So,
plummeted.
but I don't think it's how it used to be. I
Okay.
just don't. I mean, they were able to get, they were able to get Sonny Styles, but now for some reason and he was what was he like top 10, top 20 player ranked nationally, and I think the first or second best safety
He was
in
up
the
there for
nation.
sure.
He was definitely 5-star. So they were
Yeah, he's
able
a
to
five-star talent.
they were able to get him at the beginning of Ryan Day's coaching career at Ohio State, and now all of a sudden, they're losing out on, Jordan Marshall, almost lost out on
Mhm.
Bryce West, Aaron Scott, and then they're about to lose out on Trey McNutt. And I mean, who knows? Anything can happen. Ohio State can counter with a bigger bag because that's the name of the game. But in terms of right now, it looks like there's a little crack in the armor of locking down the
Sure.
best in Ohio.
Well, Rain City brings up the good point that money might be dragging them away. It's like Ohio State has a bag. They have a bag system clearly with Ross Bjork coming in as their AD, but you can't pay everybody in recruiting. You just can't, and so you
Uh,
can always let some slip away, and that's unfortunate to see. Um, Hopefully, the borders close again with the victories that we're hoping for this season, proving it on the field. Taking advantage of this uber talented class and team that we have, and that we can shut those doors again because there has been a little bit of a crack open. I admit that there definitely has been with the players you mentioned, and hopefully we can close those doors again. We got some Longhorn fans in here, I see, and then oh, but that one, but
I don't know what that's all about.
Texas. Yeah, Texas coming to Michigan this year. It should be an interesting one for to watch. I know the eyes of college football are going to be on that matchup for sure.
Yeah,
We've
it's gonna be it's gonna be played at noon. I know that Michigan wanted to be a
yeah,
night game, but
yep.
it's gonna be played at noon.
Yep.
So
Big noon
uh
kickoff again.
yeah. Hey, one keep talking 1 second, man. I gotta
Oh, sure
answer
thing.
this real quick.
Yeah, no, we've had our fair share of luck in Texas as well as Ohio State recruiting with Jeff Okuda being one, J.K. Dobbins being another Texas guy who was a 2,000-yard rusher for the Buckeyes. Another, I know there's some other recruits. I don't follow recruiting like in
How about that showing of all these recruits pulling up, and they got all these Lamborghinis out front. That was
for the Longhorns.
that is literally the epitome of college football right now. Commit, and here's the keys to your brand new Lamborghini.
Yeah, bro, it's getting quite wild, right? For a freaking true freshman, mentioned this a little bit in the past, but that void is there, man. Nick Saban stepped down. Harbaugh is gone. Not that they had this massive, vortex of power. They had a 1 year national title run, but um, who is primed to fill the void of Alabama on the national scale? Who do you think is primed best to take that spot?
As of right now, and some Buckeye fans are probably not like this, but I think it's Georgia football. I mean,
Sure,
they won back-to-back national titles, missed it by one game for a three-peat. So I think that it's definitely be Georgia. The recruiting's not slowing down.
not
Kirby
at all.
continues to impress in coaching. I mean, that was a really
Hmm.
brilliant play in 2022 where he saw that it was going to be a fake punt, and then he called a timeout, like
Yeah.
that close from him not being able to. That was just like
Yep.
a really good call. So I
That was
think he's grown a lot. I think he's grown a lot over the years. He's been at Georgia. He's gotten Georgia where they need to be. Has them in the top 5 each year. I mean,
sure.
they lost their first game in like 3 years to Alabama. Now that just proves does that prove that Georgia football is a sham and a fake? No, it just proved that, You know,
Sure.
he lost to the GOAT Nick Saban. So I'm gonna make a prediction.
Okay.
By the
Shout it
time
out.
by the end of by the end of the decade,
Okay.
Georgia will have won 4 to 5 national titles.
Whoo, Red
Mark my
City would
word.
like that. Gosh, I would not like that so much.
Yeah. They're the new standard. I mean, look at the coaching tree already that Kirby Smart has produced. I mean, look at what Dan Lanning is doing. Look at what Todd McCocken
Hmm.
and for the Ravens is doing. I mean, like, you know who produced out good coaches who ended up, going on to the pros or becoming good head coaches? Nick Saban.
Saban's tree is unmatched in college
Yes.
football in this era.
Yeah. And
Urban Meyer does not have a great recruiting tree. Let's be honest.
no, he doesn't have he doesn't have a great coaching tree, but I think that Kirby Smart is the next in line to be one of the greats in all of college football, and I think their dominance is it's just going to continue. I mean, they're people are like, oh my gosh, lost to Alabama. I told you.
They're primed to do it. I mean, they've got the recruiting in place. They've got the NIL in place. Yeah, I mean, we certainly have a chance to do that as well. Like, but it just depends
Here,
on how this season goes for Day and the
yeah.
Buckeyes. It really does.
Here's what I want to see before I buy into the fact that Ohio State could fill in that void.
Okay.
Ryan Day needs to. I said this before. He needs to stop shrinking in the big moments.
Oh yeah,
He
for
needs
sure.
to let his team beat themselves and not give the other team a chance to beat them. Like going on it on fourth downs when you really need to. Not just letting the clock run down before halftime and kicking a
Sure.
field goal. Like you have to let you have to put the ball in your team's hand and let them beat themselves. Also, he needs to trust his staff more.
There's a big growth in trust in staff. One thing that you said that made this quote from Meyer pop out in my head. He said, if you can't get 4th and 1 in a big moment, you're not a championship level team. And his 2013 squad was not a championship level team because of that. They lost to MSU on that 4th and 1 Braxton Miller option read play, that painful play, after a 24 game winning streak. And but they went and did it the next year. But that 2013 wasn't championship level. And Ohio State has proven under Day, not to be able to get that important yard, at key moments. Unfortunately, what's up, Dom? Um, I think it is frustrating to me as a fan because that we've done that my entire life. We've been able to get those crucial moments and crucial yards in key
I
situations.
They just he lives inside his own head. I mean, he
He
shies
he
away from those moments, and if he doesn't shy away, like he goes ahead and runs a jet sweep. Dude, I remember I was so livid in my mind right there. I'm like, is Ryan Day the guy for this team? And then like they won at the last second. I forgot all about what I said, but then it popped up during some games. Like I think it was did they play Nebraska this year? I mean last season.
yeah, we've faced Nebraska. Yep.
So yeah, I think it was Maryland, Nebraska, where it's just like I mean, even they even showed during Meyer before commercial, he looked pissed because they didn't look prepared for that game. They just went out, looked like they were just gonna go through the motions and win, and they were
Sleepwalking through it, right?
yeah, and just like, is this the dude for to lead Ohio State forward?
But there's a
And
lot of
then
pressure on this year.
yeah, and then the Michigan game where I knew the game was lost when after that, McCord stepped up in the pocket, aired it out to Marvin Harrison Jr. Then,
Sure.
Day's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna let the clock run out." I knew at that
Right for
moment
halftime.
they were gonna lose the game.
Yeah.
You can't do that in those big moments. But
Right.
here's his redemption. The offseason is redemption. I liked how
It
he's
is.
responded so far.
Yeah.
He's fired the right people, except one person I've talked about before who it is.
Yeah, buddy.
really doing great with NIL, really doing great with recruiting. But let's see his decision making this season when it comes down to the first big game, and I think that's going to be at Oregon. Let's see how he
Yep.
coaches. Let's see if he rises to the occasion or shies away from it. Let's see if he. I mean, Chip. He was mentored under Chip Kelly. Is he going to trust Chip Kelly enough to be able to lead that
Think
offense, or is
so.
he gonna be like, give me the clipboard back, I'm gonna call the plays, and it just the team implodes. I mean, the team could implode this year, or the team could be a championship team. It's all up
Mhm.
to the CEO, which is Ryan Day.
Well, some interesting things I read this week,
Oh wait, one sec, Rant
today,
City. I completely agree with you that Chip Kelly isn't a good coach. Oh, as much as I think. Yeah, I completely agree with you. His experience is valuable to this offense.
and
They
I
have a
think he
chance.
brings a calm. Well, maybe not. He's a little bit fiery of a coach, but I think he's a lot like Day in that regard. But he brings
Honestly,
that experience, can bring that calmness to those
yeah.
big moments for sure.
I don't think he wanted to be a head coach anymore. I'm just
No,
being honest.
he's part of the movement that of old coaches completely leaving the sport, and if you look at all the big programs around the nation, they're led by dudes that are under 50 years old now, like Bama, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan. All these programs, Texas. No, Sark might be like 54, but still relatively young compared to the old guard that was dominating college football for years on end. And it's really interesting to see. So it's definitely a youth movement. There's no denying that for sure. What do you think is going to take Ohio State to become that team and fill that void? Like, is it the O line? Is it the clutchness that has been lacking the last three years?
I mean, I don't think that they need to go back to the Urban Meyer days,
No,
but
he's a young
they need
coach.
to
And
start getting some good caliber offensive linemen to open up the run game when it's needed. Because as of right now, their identity is primarily passing. It's obviously primarily passing. I mean, look at
oh yeah, oh yeah,
all the wide receivers they're getting. But what I don't want to see again is remember the Northwestern game. It
sure.
was 2000. It was
Agree, Brian.
2022, and pretty much it was raining. They couldn't pass the ball, and then when they tried to run the ball, it just wasn't there. I don't want to see things like that. A championship team is going to be able to win either way, on the ground, and if on the ground
Yeah,
isn't working, through the air. If through the air is not working, they're going to be able to run down the team's throat.
balance is key for championship football. It just is, and also playing complementary football. Between the offense and the defense and the special teams, they have to be able to complement each other, and not stay on the field so long, keeping the defense on the field with turnovers. And that's one thing we haven't been. You know, I don't know. We dipped a little bit last year in terms of turnovers under Day. But it's going to be interesting to see if we can play that complementary football and have that balanced style that we've been lacking the last little bit. Because, like you said, we can't run the ball even against sometimes inferior opponents like Northwestern and that windstorm and hailstorm in Northwestern.
Yeah, and to Brian's point, so he put with those two running backs, we should be run heavy and play action. I agree, but at the end of the day, Day's identity for the offense
Sure,
is a pass first, but I do think with those two running backs, yes, they should be a run heavy team, but it's going to open up the passing game a lot too.
it
They're
will.
gonna have to respect this. I mean, Henderson and Judkins, talk about a two-headed monster. They're
Dynamic duo.
a dynamic duo, close to possibly better than Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. I mean, they're
On
gonna be
Penn State, yeah.
another two-headed monster in the Big Ten. So
It's This year is a little bit of a toss-up because obviously bringing in Chip Kelly as the new OC, really could shift some things. Day is not ever going to leave his identity, like you've mentioned. He is who he is. But Kelly was was that read option, play action, throw to the top deep ball type deal, and run heavy offense. So it's going to be really fun to see the two concepts blend, and I think that'll help confuse a lot of the defenses that we're going to be facing. Yeah, Day knows what he has: a run quarterback and two great running backs. Kelly runs a ton. No, he certainly does, and yeah, I mean that's just who he's always been. And so to blend and mesh those two concepts is going to be really quite fascinating, I think.
89
Absolutely.
overall in the EA game. I don't know. I don't. What do you got to say about that, Peter?
Uh, I love the game and I can't wait to play it, as I obviously mentioned. But I you know I think that will be good on the field, and it'll be a lot of fun to play with for sure. Like, there's no questioning that. I don't get too upset or too happy one way or the other based on rankings on the console. But I know that was a big discussion point today on social media. It seemed like what I saw. Um, but me personally, I'm just like, well, we'll see. I mean, I think that seems a little low, I guess, overall, based on the talent that the team has. An 89 overall for EA, but whatever. I think the Ohio State Buckeyes are a little better than 89, but
Yeah.
neither here nor there for me. So um, it's gonna be fun to build them up in a dynasty at some point, but
All right.
got to build up Eastern Michigan first.
All right.
Or
So
Coastal
let's
Carolina.
let's talk about a team. They think they have a good chance to be the standard of college football, but they're just not
Ooh,
going to. They're just not going to be the standard of college football. You know, for a while, and that's the Michigan Wolverines. I don't think that they're the standard of college football. They may think they are, because they won their first championship in 26 years, but
right.
in order to be the standard of college football, win two, win three, win four, win
Make a run.
five. Be in that talk every single year. You know, dominate your conference more than 3 years in a row. I mean, keep it coming. And it's just like I think Michigan fails to see that, Sharon Moore took a talented staff, really talented staff, elite staff.
Yeah.
He had an elite staff. He had elite developed players, and I think that Michigan fans are hyping up this guy way too much, and they're still celebrating the 3 and 4 star recruits. Oh, we develop better than anybody else. The development is gone. It's gone to the
Yeah.
NFL, and especially
Yeah.
give
Please.
credit to who was the strength and conditioning coach. It was
I know his name. Daggone it. I
yeah, but
know his name. I've read it many times.
he's with the Chargers now. He was very detrimental to you know having them pretty much ready. So again, like I think that they're not close to being ready to be the next standard.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to take over that mantle. I don't think they have the ability to sustain with this staff. I think Sharon Moore is a very charismatic guy. I think eventually he'll be a decent recruiter to good recruiter. But as we've seen in this recruiting cycle, because of all the staff that left for the NFL, it's taken some time to get some recruits in. And um, all that development, like you mentioned, is gone. It's in the league now. They're not coming back. Harbaugh was selfish, and he took all his best coaches, and he would have taken more if he thought they were worthy of taking. And so that development, I see them hanging on to the argument. I see them grappling for that to 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 hold on to what they just completed, but I don't see it happening. I mean,
I mean,
they
and go on.
go ahead.
And internal promoting, like, that only goes so far. I mean, So,
Exactly.
and I have a lot of questions about Don Wick Martindale, and here's why. So I was looking at
Okay.
his resume.
Yeah,
He
seriously, bro.
parted ways with the Baltimore Ravens and mutually agreed to part ways with the New York Giants.
Yes.
So
Now they're
is
saying he's the architect of the defense we've been running. Oh,
if he's the architect of the defense, why did Mike McDonald run it and you didn't at the Baltimore Ravens? You
exactly,
parted
bro.
ways. And if you're like, I mean, Jesse Minter ran it better, is going to run it better than him as well. Jesse Minter and Mike McDonald
Yep.
are by far the best defensive coordinators I've seen in a
They're
while.
gone.
Yeah,
They're gone, brother.
they're gone. So I'm not completely sold on Wink Martindale. I mean, he's the supposed architect of that,
Sure.
Baltimore Ravens defense. But if he was, why did they part ways with him? Why didn't he work out in the New York Giants? Because this defense is supposedly great. Yeah, it's a great defense, but you need the right person in order to effectively run it consistently.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I'm not sold on it.
Well, and the other thing is he's in his 60s. Like, you can't convince me a dude that's been in the NFL that hasn't been around college age kids in 25 years is going to be an effective recruiter for them. You can't convince me of that. It does not add up. I've seen some interviews from him. Little awkward. Little awkward.
Yeah.
So we'll see
Or
how he goes in the
yeah.
recruiting department.
Rand City just said he's going to watch Biden and Trump. Well, we're gonna be off here at 9 o'clock watching Biden and Trump as well. So
Yeah, that's what we're going to encourage you guys
yeah,
to do. That's why we started a little earlier tonight.
yeah, that's why we
Um,
started a little early. Oh yeah,
the nation is a state.
speaking about Michigan. All right, Buckeye Nation, we need to stop talking about
Yeah,
Connor Stallions. Connor Stallions is the equivalent of a boy band fangirl. He was the
yeah,
ultimate Michigan fangirl. I mean, he
yeah,
wrote a whole manifesto. He apparently went on his own and did all this in-person scouting. If he did it on his own, like that's not like being on the staff. That is go back to Tugate. I guarantee you that held Michigan fans over for a while, and then they got smacked back to reality. Like, oh crap, we're still losing on the field where it actually matters.
yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I just think the topic's been beaten. To a pulp, pretty much.
I
Pretty much you're beating a dead horse at this point.
Yeah,
So
I think with this new NOA violation, notice of allegations, it'll be interesting. I know Chris Partridge is suing the university for wrongful firing and wrongful termination um, for the whole Stallion saga, but it's like, to me, it's just a money grab. It's just a money grab. He thinks he completely, was botched in the firing process at U of M, but really, he's just reaching out for that money because he knows all the money that was left on the table in the rest of his contract. So Mike A says, I don't see Ohio State winning a championship this year.
I mean I mean it could very well happen that they don't, and it could very well happen that it could. Only time will tell. So
Yeah, the results are going to be played out this year, man. We can't wait.
they definitely no. There's no denying that they definitely have the talent to, but it's all up to the CEO and how he wants to steer the staff and steer that talent.
Yeah. The question is, will they? This is a big time year. I know if I were to pick right now, it would be between Ohio State and Georgia. They're certainly the two betting favorites at this point. Um, but in a 12-team playoff, man, it's become a lot harder to win now. So it's we're gonna see some upsets. Even though
Yeah.
even though those games are played on home fields, we're gonna see some teams fall. And so, it'll be a lot more challenging. But I think the Buckeyes have a good a shot as anybody. It's just, will they do it on the field when it matters in crunch time? Can they be clutch? Can they be clutch this year? Or will they shrink in those big moments again? Because they're gonna have some big moments in Eugene versus Michigan, and potentially even versus Penn State. They're going to have some scary moments where the game is in the balance and who's going to step up and who's going to shrink. We're going to find out who these leaders are on these team, on this Buckeye squad. I think I would be disappointed if they didn't make the Natty game, but um, like I mentioned, that became a lot harder to get to now with a 12-team format instead of just a 4-team exclusive invitational. So um, we'll see what happens in that front. But no, I'm with you in terms of dropping the Connor Salians thing. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it now. It's out of Ohio State's hands. It always has been. And so control what you can control and attack what you can do to get better each day.
All right.
So we'll see what happens.
So
What time we got?
we got to end the show, man.
Is it
Unfortunately.
9 already?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Solid, bro.
I gotta get going, man.
No
But
worries, no worries.
thank you for everyone who has been watching the show. Our loyal followers. If this is your first time, we go live every Thursday, 8:30 p.m.
Yes, sir. We won't be back next Thursday because it's 4th of July, obviously. But most every Thursday we'll be live at 8:30 to get on the stream. We'll see you guys on the next one. If you missed some of it, just go back and watch. And we'll catch you later, Rob. You have a good night. Enjoy the debate, everybody.
You
And
too, man.
don't get too fired up, everybody.
All
All
right,
right, we'll
later.
see you. Good night.
Later.